The Nissan Z, the new Z, the 400Z, or the RZ34 for those people who really care, has had a mixed reception by car people, the general buying public, and of course, automotive journalists. We've done a lot with this car. We've done a documentary detailing how this car was engineered and how essentially enthusiasts internally at Nissan kept this car alive. We've compared it to things like the Mustang GT, the Mustang Dark Horse, and the Nismo trim level, the Toyota Supra, the BMW M2. We've spent a lot of time with this vehicle, and even between Mark and I, we have differing opinions. He has a more favorable opinion of the Z than I do. I understand that there's a lot of old school charm, but the thing Mark and I both agree on is this car was too expensive. The performance trim that we're in started in the mid-50s. The Nismo Z was over $60,000, and dealers for a very, very long time were absolutely hosing you with ADMs. Those days are long gone, however. These cars can be had over $10,000 off MSRP, and used, these cars are in the sub $40,000 range, which means if you bought this thing new, you got hosed. That said, if you're looking to buy a true enthusiast sports car, this is a very compelling option now. Now that these things new are in the mid-40s, sub 40 used, you're getting a double wishbone rear-wheel drive car with an optional manual gearbox and a 400 horsepower twin-turbo V6 with 350 foot-pounds of torque. That makes this car quite the bargain in today's market. So with that in mind, Mark and I are going to go take this for a quick drive on our regular roads in traffic to walk you through what we think and what this car is actually like to live with. So with that, enjoy.
The Nissan Z, let's talk about it. When we first did our work in the studio with Nissan about the launch of this car, and then doing our multiple comparison tests, and then even going to the engineering facility in Michigan and talking to a lot of the engineers, I think we've learned a lot about this car, but now in retrospect, it's been out a couple of years, and one of the biggest complaints we had was they're basically recycling and making iterative improvements on a platform that is very, very old, and while the improvements have made a huge difference, it has the kind of Subaru-ishness of this car where its best attributes are it feels more connected.
Because it feels old.
It feels older.
Because it is old.
It is, and it's a pro or a con, but the biggest con is price, right? Like, I don't want to be spending nearly $60,000 on a car like this.
Or in the case of the Nismo Z, over $60,000.
Yeah, which is honestly asinine, and I understand where we're at in the modern world of enthusiast products where everything's so expensive. But the reason why we're revisiting this, not just because I like the car, I know there's a lot of people that don't, but the prices on the new market are surprising, because what we're finding is there's about 800 in inventory across the United States currently, which is not a lot, to be fair, but it is a lot given the enthusiast market is kind of cold. A lot of them have been sitting on the dealer lots for
a year,
even longer. And we're seeing prices $10,000 below MSRP on the performance model, and you're getting the base trim level rear wheel drive car for in the upper 30s, and maybe you could work it higher than that or work it lower. So when you adjust the price for that, how do you feel about it? Do you think that's going to...
My math of this car changes radically.
Yeah.
So this car that we're in has a sticker 55. Okay. You can buy this car all day long for $44,000 to $45,000. All day long, at least by us. You know, that's the price of a Type R or a Golf R or a very well-loaded GR Corolla, and there are no rear-wheel drive, high-horsepower manual cars that you can buy new for that kind of money. A Mustang, when we did our other comparison, the Mustang was $60,000, Mark. That is, you know, I remember when I bought my Mustang in 2015, new for $34,000 with tax. That was a premium GT performance pack. Those days were 10 years ago. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can get this car that we're in right now for Civic money, Civic Type R money.
Well, and I thought about too, like, you know, with the announcement of the Prelude, and I don't really want to bash Honda for this. I think it's more of a Japanese disconnect between what people...
Because they sold out the entire run in Japan, which internally, like, yeah, but in America, I don't think it's going to go that way.
But the estimation is the car's going to be at $40,000 plus. And okay. Japan, you know, when you look at the conversion rate, it's over 40 grand in Japan. So you're going to be at 40 grand here easily. So I think, you look at cars like that for the value you're getting for, basically a direct drive EV hybrid thing, that makes 200 horsepower out of pretty anemic 4-cylinder. And you're looking at this twin turbo V6, which really doesn't exist in this price category, with a manual gearbox that's pretty damn good. I mean, this has deficiencies that need to be fixed, clearly, and we talked about it.
When you're working with $10,000, you can do that.
Right, yeah. And I mean, if you're really looking at that, but if you don't even want to touch this car, I think what it's delivering is it's a great first rear-wheel drive platform vehicle, because you feel something. It makes you learn to drive it a little bit. There's a lot more body motion in it. It's a really good daily driver. It's pretty quiet in here. The audio system's good. The seats are good. It's just you can learn to drive a rear-wheel drive car at basically like high performance front-wheel drive platform prices.
Yep. I think we beat this to death in our original Z versus Supra comparison. When those cars are about the same price, it's very, very hard to argue in the favor of this car. But when you're talking about $10,000, $15,000 less than a new Supra, which is about to die,
yeah,
with the warranty, with competitive financing, all the benefits of buying a new car, this is, you have okay steering, you have an okay gearbox, you have a good pedal box as far as heel towing goes. You have double wishbone suspension, so while there are deficiencies in the way this car is sprung and set up as the non-Nismo, a cheap set of dampers, or like if you want to go up market, like a set of MCSs or Öhlins, turns this car into something that is very, very connected and small feeling. I love the SS1LE that I own, but that car feels like a house in comparison to this.
Oh, I know, and that's what I'm saying. It's a blessing and a curse, right? Because you're getting something here where you actually feel like you're pretty connected to this car, at least compared to the Supra, right? Like the Supra's biggest issue becomes
it's a BMW underneath.
It's a BMW underneath, and it feels dead, right? It needs work to feel connected, and there's a massive disconnect between the front and the rear axle.
It's just a very, very fast car.
It is. It's insanely fast, and if that's all you care about. But this definitely, again, I keep going back to the fundamentals of what makes a sports car good. Does it look the part? Yes.
Yes, it does.
Does it have a decent, very no fuss, no bullshit interior? Yes.
Physical controls, a manual gearbox, everything's physical, and a basic screen.
And the inputs are really good for this modern era of car. And, again, for 40 grand, 45 grand, this becomes a very compelling thing. And I can assure you that if you find a dealer that has been sitting on one of these cars and they've already discounted $10,000, you're probably going to get even more off. I don't know what, the interest rates are probably going to hurt people in 2025, but man, if I really needed a first attempt at a manual transmission rear-wheel drive car, this would be definitely the car I'd be most excited about. Not only that, it has the X factor of there's not a lot of them on the road. Some people have said they've never even seen one of these cars on the road, and that's actually really cool.
The dealers are what fucked this car, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
We shot the video. This was a passion project internally at Nissan. They had $3 to put together this car, and they did it. Everyone was super excited. I think it looks great from a design perspective. Then because they botched the rollout of the car, the dealers thought they had gold on their hands.
Yeah, that's true.
And they were charging crazy amounts over sticker for all these cars, including the first editions. Even if you paid sticker on this car, you just got hosed.
A
year ago, or 2 years ago.
This is the whole thing, why people, you could, from a brand perspective, like, oh, we released something all these people said they wanted. And this is kind of what people wanted in a certain regard. They just didn't want the price point. And now those very same dealers that have been camping these cars or sitting on them are the very ones that can't sell them and have discounted it heavily to move them. So, yes, okay, are we on a slower moving economy right now? Yeah, okay. But it's probably the best time if you've ever even considered this car. I didn't turn off the traction control. This would be a perfect time to buy this car if you've been on the fence about it. And just know what you're going to have to do to make the improvements to it, or just not touch it. Enjoy it as a street car, because it is really, really fun to drive on the street.
I would love to see if they really do add a manual to the Nismo. And if they don't, I'd love to drive one of these cars that someone bought for $45,000.
Yeah.
Through a good set of dampers through a set of like RE71 RSs from Bridgestone or the Potenza races.
And kept a full tank of fuel.
Or did the fix for that is like $1,000 from the aftermarket, which I would 100% do.
Yeah.
You'd run the higher grade fuel pump or whatever it is, a baffle and then tank to get it from sloshing over. And you have a great engine, a manual gearbox, double wishbone suspension, reasonable brakes, okay inputs, and a car that doesn't sound half bad either.
The pros don't
Yeah.
outweigh the cons when you're putting in the perspective price. Yeah,
You can do a lot. To get you back to the MSRP of the car, $10,000, you can do a lot with a car.
And the last thing I'm going to say is, I know we've been kind of like rambling about this. The key factor that is really bothering me about modern sports cars is, and we talked to Ford about this when we were talking about the GTD, the big cancer in the car culture is more weight, more things, more power. And what that does is it absolutely destroys your pocketbook afterwards when you're going through consumables, brakes, tires, the snowball effects of what that does to a car. And while this does make a lot more power than the previous car, it doesn't feel like it has the weight so much. And yes, it's heavier than the old car, but this is a vehicle that's not good because of its horsepower. It's everything else. And that's why I really appreciate this car in an era where a lot of this stuff has disappeared. And to me, if you're an enthusiast, this is that ideal like alt car to like a Miata. You know, the Miata's kind of like the super lightweight version.
It feels far more nimble than a Mustang GT.
Oh yeah, and it
maybe
feels
a worse car or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Objectively, right? But the whole enthusiast car market, objectively, if all you cared about was power and all that stuff, we talk about that enough. All these cars are so fast, they can spin up fast lap times, but you feel nothing in them.
On the street now, you feel the front and the rear. You're not limit handling. That's why I want to do this in the street driving traffic. You know, the little joy most people get is what we're doing now. To and from work, to and from the office. And that's where this, I think, does a better job than, say, the Supra, where the Supra is much
Well, you feel like you're
faster.
in a coffin. It's got the same problem that the Camaro did, is you feel like you're just like suffocating.
And you're not connected to the car like the Camaro.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying this is like got tons of visibility, but it feels much less of that like trapped space than you get out of those two cars. I don't know, man. I really like it when we're talking about the prices that we are, but we'll have to see if they actually start selling these.
All right, Mark. So with that, goodbye.
You are the commander, so car must move by your command. Sometimes yes, but sometimes this two-way interactive conversation very important for our sports car. That is the Z.